Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show the socio-economic and the physical climatic parameters that define the framework of the energy efficient renovation of the buildings. So she showed the huge potential that exists in Europe, in the member state, how much we can save in the energy bills, the effect on the international trade. But we also know at the same time that the development is quite sluggish. It's a big tension between the potential and the actual development. And so beyond these economic social parameters, we wanted to take a closer look on the market framework conditions. Why and how can the building renovation be addressed in a more efficiently? Because in Europe, with the new programs, we are trying to go for more efficient, lean regulation. One of the basic economic parameters that we have to take into account, obviously, that energy renovation of buildings cannot, it has to be related somehow to the value of the houses. Obviously, you cannot expect that an owner or a tenant would spend more than 25% on energy renovation of a building, which has only 4 times as much value as the renovation. So we have been going through, in Eurostat, we found some statistic on the flat and the house prices of Europe, and the range can be a definitive limit for what kind of renovation options we have to take into account when we consider the feasible renovation. You can see that the house prices in most member states where they were available, data ranges between 100 and 200,000 euro, and for the flats it's around 80,000, 150,000. If we have a look on the different renovation options in the various member states, we can see that in most studies there are quite a huge literature on it, but the cost of renovation options shows very high varying rates of average cost, which ranges from 200 up to 800 euro per square meters. Obviously, if you have a look at the market prices of the houses and flats, we have to take into the consideration only the lower end of these options. We have to also consider that the building stocks we mostly focus on the 3 building structures, the buildings built between 1945 and 1980, which are the building stocks which are the least energy efficient one, and the potential is the biggest one in the European building stocks to save energy. And also, the studies show that these are the buildings where the average cost of renovation is the lowest per square meter, because they don't have these amenities like in the old buildings. Sometimes it's quite impossible to make full refurbishment in old building. And also we have to see that in the new building stocks built after 82, there were already quite stringent regulation in force in the different member states. So they already perform better from energy point of view. So the main focus is the second class of the building, age class of the building. Then we had a look on these 3 building classes based on age. We also took into account the different climate conditions, NZEB and similar databases, collected data for the quite varying climate zones in Europe. And for example, Entranze collected data for 10 European cities. What are the different renovation options? And in the different climate zone with the different building stocks and with the different age of building, what kind of cost we can expect to have full renovation. Then we took the lower end of this cost estimate. We put together a marginal cost curve for the different market scenarios, how the European stock can be renovated at what marginal cost level, and how do they correspond to the modeled targets in 2020, 30, and 2050. What we found here out is that the targets are quite ambitious, but most of the targets up to 2030 can be reached to implement the lower end of the renovation options. However, we have to see that defining the different options has quite a big implication on the overall cost of the energy renovation, and most probably because of these various constraints, you need to have some kind of European approach towards this renovation. The other parameters we also have to take into account when we consider why the development is slower than expected in the market is that the financial conditions have quite a dramatic effect on the attractiveness in energy renovation options in the building. The slide shows that if you have let's say 10% discount rate, so the banks you have to pay around 10% payback on the investment cost. Most of these investments show in the green side, so it's still attractive to investors. But as soon as we go beyond the 10% discount rate, we see that more than half of this project would be not attractive for the investors. So the financial conditions, how the owners, the energy renovation companies can have access to the finance defines which are the options that they would implement. And I think in Europe we apply quite a different discount rate. That's also a key question whether this lower discount rate that we experienced in the last year, whether this can be channeled to the building sector as well. And I give back the floor to Yamina to give the final conclusions on this.